The world is crowded with men who believe they understand themselves. They speak of self-awareness, of mastery, of control, but peel away their words and you'll find blindness, a blindness so profound it guides their every move. Most men do not see the strings that pull them. They call it destiny, instinct, or will. But beneath it all, there is something darker. An unseen current steering every choice, every craving, every ambition. There are forces older than reason, silent architects of human behavior. They live behind the mask of charm, intelligence, and power. Three predators hiding in plain sight. Each whispers to us differently. And most men, too distracted by their reflections, never hear the voice that rules them. The first hungers for admiration. The second plots for control. The third lives for dominance. And if you don't know which shadow breathes inside you, you are already its servant. The truth doesn't comfort. It dismantles. It exposes the scaffolding of your mind until you realize you were never the master, only the puppet. But recognition is your blade. Awareness, your only escape. Tonight, the veil lifts. You will see the machinery beneath the mask, the darkness that moves through men and through you. And once you've seen it, you'll never feel safe in your own reflection again. The strategist, the Machiavellian. The Machiavellian doesn't chase applause. He doesn't hunger for love or visibility. He craves something far colder: command. He walks into a room and the air shifts, not because he announces himself, but because power recognizes silence. He studies people like patterns, movements like equations. Every word, a fragment of data. Every glance, a key to the lock of another mind. While others speak, he observes. While others plan, he prepares. He doesn't move often, but when he does, it's decisive, final, irreversible. He bends the environment, the conversation, the choices of others, without ever revealing his hand. By the time you realize you've been maneuvered, the game has already ended. He feels nothing for the pawns he moves. Empathy is a risk. Emotion is exposure. Loyalty is merely a term used by those who can't see the levers behind their devotion. He doesn't hate or love, he calibrates. Truth is his scalpel, and silence his fortress. His kindness is never warmth, it's camouflage. His trust is a test, his patience a weapon. He dissects the human condition, not to understand it, but to exploit it. And that is his genius and his curse. Because in mastering the board, he forgets what it means to play. Connection becomes weakness, affection, distraction. He stands above the crowd, untouchable, yet profoundly alone. For the man who cannot trust cannot belong. He trades love for leverage. He sacrifices emotion for precision. He replaces passion with inevitability. And when his power is complete, he doesn't attack, he encloses. He doesn't destroy, he corners. He leaves his enemies no options, no air, no exits. And when the trap closes, they realize too late that he had been guiding every step from the beginning. But his flaw hides within his brilliance, arrogance, believing himself beyond error, immune to chaos. Yet all it takes is one misread heart, one overlooked variable, and the architect collapses beneath his own design. Still, few ever see him falter. His precision borders on prophecy, his detachment, his strength, his foresight, his survival. He is the quiet power in every empire, not the voice that commands, the whisper that decides. He is not loud. He does not seek eyes upon him, but when he moves, the world rearranges itself. Power, for him, is not about control of others. It's about the mastery of the unseen. The mirror, the narcissist. Then comes the narcissist, the man of reflection. Not the confident, charming hero the world believes in. No, he is a creature of light and illusion. He feeds not on power, but on attention, the gaze of others, the echo of their praise. He does not seek truth. He seeks affirmation. Every compliment is oxygen, every silence suffocation. He builds his worth through the eyes of others, and without their gaze, he begins to vanish. Step into a room with him and watch carefully. His smile is timed, his laughter rehearsed, his vulnerability choreographed. He appears magnetic, radiant, unstoppable. But beneath that glow lies terror, the terror of being unseen. He is not fearless, he is fragile. He lives to be mirrored, to be admired, to be adored. And the moment that mirror cracks, his empire trembles. He seduces not through power, but through reflection. He becomes what you desire most, mirroring your ideals, your admiration, your needs. You see yourself in him, that's his mastery. He doesn't create reality, he creates illusion. Every confession he offers is bait, every connection a transaction. He makes you believe you know him, when in truth he only shows you yourself. But when the applause fades, when no one is watching, he is hollow. His empire of light collapses in silence, and the man who was once worshipped is devoured by his own emptiness. He is not weak. He is a survivor of reflection, a performer sustained by attention. But his hunger is endless. No amount of praise can fill the void beneath his skin. That is his prison. He rises quickly, manipulates effortlessly, dominates crowds. But he is forever enslaved to admiration. He doesn't chase power, he chases proof of existence. And that is why his collapse is inevitable. Because when the world turns away, when the lights go out, the narcissist confronts the one thing he cannot seduce himself. To see him clearly is to disarm him. Once you recognize the mask, the performance loses its magic, and the mirror shatters. The storm, the psychopath. And then there is the third, the storm. The psychopath. He doesn't seek love like the narcissist. He doesn't scheme like the Machiavellian. He doesn't crave control, he is control. He is chaos in human skin, calm, collected, and terrifyingly free. Step into his presence and you'll feel it, a strange stillness, a void disguised as focus. He does not raise his voice. He doesn't threaten or posture. He simply is. And that is enough to unsettle entire rooms. While others hesitate, he acts. While others question, he decides. While others are bound by guilt, fear, and doubt, he is untouched. Morality does not chain him. Consequences do not slow him. He moves through chaos like it was built for him. The psychopath is a creature without empathy, and that absence, that void, is what grants him his advantage. He doesn't need validation or applause. His strength comes from detachment, from the purity of action, untainted by fear. He manipulates without hesitation, kills without hatred, destroys without guilt. To him, the world is not a battlefield, it's a playground. He wears humanity like a costume, putting it on when necessary, removing it when inconvenient. Every emotion he displays is a performance designed to disarm. Every gesture, a calculation. Every silence, a trap. He thrives in crisis, feeds on disorder, blossoms in fear. While others drown in panic, he remains still, watching, waiting, deciding. He fears nothing except stagnation, because to stop moving, to stop dominating, is to die. He is not loud, he is not reckless. He is pure will, unbound, unchained, unafraid. His existence is a reminder that not all monsters roar. Some simply walk quietly through fire, untouched. Yet even he bears a cost. To live without empathy, without conscience, without restraint, is to exist in isolation beyond imagination. He conquers everything except loneliness. The psychopath's kingdom is vast, but it is empty, because the man who feels nothing owns nothing. The revelation. These three shadows, the strategist, the mirror, and the storm, they live in all of us, whispering, steering, consuming. And most men never notice the chains, because they mistake them for instincts. Some are ruled by the need to be adored, some by the need to dominate, others by the hunger to control. But the wise, the truly awakened, learn to see the shadows for what they are. The moment you name your darkness, it loses its command. The moment you see the whisper for what it is, you begin to choose differently. The narcissist burns for attention. The Machiavellian freezes for control. The psychopath storms for dominance. But you have a choice. To see, to understand, to awaken. And once you do, the world will never look the same again. Because now, you no longer serve the shadows. You watch them. And that awareness, that clarity, is the beginning of power. The price of power. Reimagined script. The victories of the cold-blooded man are graves dressed as thrones. His triumphs echo in silence. His kingdoms stand, but no one cheers. Love, loyalty, friendship to him, they are currencies without value. Even when he conquers, he remains untouched by joy. He doesn't live among men. He moves above them, distant, detached, untamed. And yet, this distance is not his shield. It is his prison. Watch him long enough, and you'll see the contradiction carved into his nature. He is both unstoppable and incomplete. He cuts through chaos like a blade through fog, yet the emptiness he leaves behind consumes him just the same. He doesn't seek purpose. He doesn't crave connection. He exists for the motion itself, the rush, the conquest, the bending of the world to his immediate will. Where the strategist builds decades ahead, the predator acts in the instant. The difference is the wound they leave behind. The storm doesn't wait. He strikes without hesitation, without emotion, without conscience. Reason cannot appeal to him, morality cannot restrain him, loyalty cannot bind him. He doesn't freeze in fear, because fear demands imagination, and he has long since forgotten how to imagine consequences. Pain means nothing. Death means nothing. Betrayal, disaster, ruin, all irrelevant. Only motion matters, only momentum, only domination. You may have crossed paths with him in the boardroom, in the field, in the shadows of power, perhaps even in your own circle. You may have mistaken him for an ally, a partner, a friend. But while you were speaking, he was already moving unseen pieces, setting traps you didn't even know existed. And when the moment came for him to act, it wasn't revenge, it wasn't anger. It was instinct, pure, precise, merciless instinct. By the time you realize what's happened, he's already gone. The destruction remains, but the storm has passed. He does not play for admiration or authority. He plays for existence, raw, unfiltered, primal. His only rule is motion. His only loyalty is to dominance. Few ever recognize him. Fewer survive him. Because he doesn't fight for victory. He fights because stillness feels like death. This is where darkness reaches its apex, where charm fades, where manipulation ends, and where instinct reigns absolute. The narcissist feeds on the gaze of others. The strategist weaves control through careful deception. But the psychopath, he consumes everything. He is the anomaly, the predator who walks through the ruins of civilization untouched by conscience or law. And if you think you've already seen the depths of shadow, you're mistaken. You've only brushed the surface. What comes next will show you how the forces that rule men can become weapons, weapons that turn predators into masters. It will show you how to become untouchable and why ignoring this truth leaves you vulnerable to the very instincts you refuse to acknowledge. Refuse to learn, and you will remain prey. Understand it, and you step closer to the rarest power of all dominion over your own darkness. This isn't inspiration, it's warning. Because the world doesn't wait. It doesn't care for morality or kindness. It doesn't reward purity. The world tests, and it tests without mercy. Those who refuse to see reality are destroyed not by obvious enemies, but by invisible hands tightening around their necks while they sleepwalk through life. You've seen the first two forces already: the hunger for praise that devours its host, and the strategist who manipulates the room without being seen. But the next revelation, the next truth is brutal. It's the price of ignorance. Most men wander through life believing they deserve safety, love, and recognition. They chase acceptance, validation, and comfort illusions wrapped in civility. But the world is not sentimental. It rewards clarity, not hope. And when it smells weakness, when it senses hesitation or fear, it devours. That's the trap. The first shadow thrives on dependency, the second on ambition, but the darkest one of all thrives on denial, the refusal to confront the predator within. You see it everywhere, in offices, in families, in politics, in friendship. Men who seem confident, powerful, even virtuous, but beneath the mask, their minds hum with quiet calculation. Every smile hides an agenda. Every word, a move. And if you aren't awake, if you aren't ruthless in your awareness, you are already serving their design. You are moved like a pawn by instincts you refuse to name. The price of blindness is predictable irrelevance, submission, destruction. A man may build an empire, gain followers, even command loyalty, but if he doesn't understand which shadow directs him, he's already lost. His victories are scripted by instincts he doesn't control. He believes he's the author of his life, but he's only performing a role written by forces inside him. And the tragedy is this: most men realize it when it's too late. By the time awareness arrives, the stage has already burned. Their choices shrink to three: collapse, compromise, or disappearance. Awareness is the only path through the maze. Seeing the narcissist within the desperate actor, addicted to praise, gives you the power to silence him. Recognizing the manipulator, the cold observer who plays people like notes, lets you step out of the game before it consumes you. And confronting the final shadow, the instinct beyond empathy, beyond guilt, beyond reason, prepares you for the chaos that will inevitably test every part of who you think you are. Most men crumble because they cling to illusions, illusions of fairness, of morality, of predictability. But life is none of these. The ones who rise understand that ethics are luxuries, that loyalty is conditional, and that survival demands brutal clarity. If you still crave approval, comfort, or safety, you've already fallen behind. Because every second you spend denying your darkness is a second your darkness controls you. The rare man, the one who truly sees, begins to sense the patterns. He moves in silence while others stumble in noise. He perceives the shift in energy before the first word is spoken. He doesn't force control, he becomes it. This is not the power of strength or dominance. It's the power of awareness, the ability to see before acting, to decide before emotion, to lead without needing to be seen. But this insight carries a cost. Ignore it, and the world will punish you swiftly. You will be used, outmaneuvered, and betrayed by instincts you refuse to master. Every failure, every heartbreak, every loss, you can't explain it, all begins where your awareness ends. The narcissist burns through life chasing validation, mistaking attention for affection. The Machiavellian hides behind intellect, replacing intimacy with strategy. The psychopath dominates without conscience, mistaking emptiness for freedom. Each of them pays a price that cannot be refunded. The narcissist loses his soul to applause. He performs endlessly, but the show never fills the silence. The strategist sacrifices warmth for control. He wins every game, yet his victories taste of ash. The psychopath loses everything: the capacity to love, to feel, to belong. He becomes a god in a kingdom made of glass, admired, feared, but eternally alone. Their reward is power. Their punishment is existence. Because power gained without self-awareness consumes the very man who wields it. Most men are hybrids shifting between masks. One day craving admiration, the next control, the next freedom from morality itself. They live as fragments, never whole, each instinct feeding the other until their identity dissolves. Narcissism hides fear. Manipulation hides loneliness. Psychopathy hides the absence of meaning. Together, they forge a chain that feels like strength until it breaks. They gain influence, but lose peace. They win attention, but lose connection. They dominate, but die inside the throne they built. Because every step toward absolute power is a step away from humanity. And the final truth the one men refuse to face is this: you can win everything the world has to offer, but if you lose your ability to feel, to trust, to care, your victory will echo only in emptiness. So ask yourself, which shadow already rules your life? Which price have you begun to pay? And are you willing to keep paying it forever? Because awareness isn't comfort, it's confrontation. But only those who face their darkness can command it. Now that you've seen what hides beneath the mask, don't turn away. Because understanding the shadow is not the end, it's the beginning of mastery. If this opened your eyes, don't let it fade. Subscribe and stay alert, because power begins where illusion ends.